Melbourne is very much a second home to me in so many ways. I've got lots of family there and have worked so much there over the past 3 decades. You mentioned earlier the Lord Mayor and the Lord Mayor of Melbourne and others in and around those that are trying to get people to visit Melbourne have been doing lots in regards to visitation in 2022. Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Yes, absolutely. The City of Melbourne, led by Lord Mayor Sally Capps, she's done a tremendous job in increasing visitation back to the city, not just on Monday to Friday period for the city workers, but then also weekend through special events, different carnivals in Melbourne, bringing people back into the city to really increase that visitation. So all businesses, not just tourism and hospitality, but all businesses can benefit, and that's been really, really important. The special events I mentioned earlier, Tim, with Australian Open coming up, which is the biggest special event of Melbourne every year. That's going to be, significant demand on the city. Formula One, the majority of hotels across the city are already sold out, which is, incredible to see. And then, obviously all the other special events throughout the year. But it's a very, very positive outlook.
Well, it's a great and vibrant city, Melbourne. It always has its arms wide open. I mean, even if you wander the alleyways to grab a coffee or there's so many things to do. Just looking at the dark side for a moment, how difficult was it? And you were at the coalface watching it from a hotel space over these past few years.
Yes, absolutely. It was a very, very tough time, not just for the Langan Melbourne, but for all hotels and businesses, in and around the city. Personally here at the Langan Melbourne, we closed the hotel 6 times, during that period, and just trying to keep people motivated during that period, and, to see it through. It was very hard, and it's, just wonderful to see the city back and, back in action and, alive again. Because it was such a tough time.
Yeah, so what about 2023 and Tourism Australia and the projections going forward?
Projections going forward are very positive, not just here in Melbourne, but obviously in Sydney. Lots of talk last night as well, with Sydney World Pride coming into Sydney, which commences middle of February. And that's the first time that's been held outside of New York and London. Will be, significant demand on the city, but also other parts of Australia. And then, moving north to Gold Coast, we've just opened our first resort property earlier this year, the Langham Gold Coast, Surfers Paradise, which is exceeding all, business projections. And I know that destination as well is exceeding, visitation numbers, during the summer as well.
What about bringing overseas people to Australia? There's still a slight hesitancy, but it's increased enormously, hasn't it?
It certainly has, Tim. One thing to note here is obviously once the capacity for those international routes return to normal, obviously that will be a very much a welcome sign for all tourism, hospitality, workers across the country. Obviously, with China opening up, that will be significant to the whole country. Bearing in mind they had just over 1.4 million visitors, to Australia in 2019. So, Australia is open for tourism. And then the premium markets, particularly US, UK, once those capacities return, that will be, very good for everyone.
How difficult staffing, though, Andre? There is some lag, isn't there? It's not easy finding people to do jobs.
Certainly across the whole industry, Tim. The last 3 months, we've seen an improvement on that, which was well needed across the industry. We are still not back to the same levels as pre-pandemic. But we are getting there.
I know you're very proud and you love the City of Melbourne. Here's your chance, here's your ad. Why should people visit Melbourne? It's great from people who haven't visited there, who live in this country to go to Melbourne.
Yeah. Why should people come to Melbourne? Melbourne's it's a special event capital of Australia. It's the dining capital of Australia. It's, very European, all the special events that you can actually experience. And January is a tremendous time to experience the city, particularly with the Australian Open. It's very vibrant. The dining scene is second to none. So, we would love more visitors to come to Melbourne, particularly, domestically as well.
Is that breakfast buffet still a cracker at the Langham?
It certainly is. It's very busy there this morning.
I imagine it is. Good on you. Well, we'll let you wander off and go and have some poached eggs. But Happy New Year, Andre, and we'll catch up with you.
Tim.